Welcome back. This is my drift car that we turned into a race car. Now we're going to try and turn it into a burnout car. So for that, we're going to put a much larger pinion in it. There's a Traxxas pinion that I'm not using. And the only tools that we should need are literally a Phillips head screwdriver and some of these Allen keys. So this is my cheapo car, so I'm going to hope that it's got enough power in the motor to actually do anything. So I'm also going to convert it to a rear wheel drive because it's currently a 4-wheel drive. So if we can put everything on the rear, then hopefully we'll get a good chance of having some smoke. And if you live in Australia like I do, the whole idea of this car is I'm trying to turn it into a bogan ute. So if you're Australian, you know what a bogan is, and you all know they drive these types of utes. Alright, so all we're going to do for this conversion is just got to take this radio rack off the top, and then I've just got to pull apart this and jack the new pinion on. And these are really easy to change the pinions on, but the motor mounts move around a lot, so we'll see how we go. If this kind of works, I should totally buy one of those, like a brushless motor for it.
Oh, that's cool as.
We got some of those like Armour Hoonigan tyres. One major issue to note with all of these HSP cars, because now it's happened on every single one of these HSPs that I own, is the servo for the steering often comes loose, just around this little servo saver here. So I would recommend putting something in between that and the top of this plate, so it coming loose, because when it comes loose, you basically have no steering at all. Like, usually you can turn it nice and hard, you get nothing. It just completely messes up your steering, and it's happened to all of mine, and it also happened to Bert's one that he had.
Blue Tack fixed it.
Oh yeah, just cowboy it. Just do whatever you can to just put something between the servo saver and the radio mount. That's all you need. Oh, did forget something. I need to grab a wrench. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is also what you'll need. So this is just a standard from any Nitro kit. Traxxas come with these as well. I'm pretty sure this is actually a Traxxas one. But they're absolutely perfect to work on every RC with, because most of them are pretty standardized in terms of screws and nuts and all that sort of thing. Yeah, you can stay in there, you're fine. I'm going to use you for one part anyway. I will say that these covers for the pinion and the spur gear, such a pain to get back on though, aren't they?
It's the worst.
So finicky. Apparently if you take off the battery post, it's like way easier, but that seems like way too much work.
Yeah, then that's even more work.
Also, a good rule of thumb is try to keep all your little screws and bits and pieces together in the piles for what part of the car they came from, just so you know you're putting the right screws back in the right spot. Like, it's not really a huge issue on a lot of these cheaper cars, but on some of your more expensive cars, the individual screws all have a spot they need to be on, so just sort of make sure you keep track of all of your screws and stuff is a very good rule of thumb. So got a pile there for the ones we just took off of that cover, and the rest of them are over in another pile.
Of course it gets stuck.
They're a pain to get on and off. Alright, now we have access to the pinion, spur gear. And this is all we're going to be changing, is just the pinion for today. Might put a smaller spur gear on it, just depending on if this motor gets too hot with what we're doing to it currently, because that is also another thing that you've got to take into consideration whenever you do any form of modification to an RC car, is that you're not working the ESC or the motor too much, so they overheat and break. It's a real pain, especially if you don't have any spare or you don't have the money to buy a new one. Okay, so now we've got access to the pinion. These motor mounts are super easy on these HSPs. So all you need is an Allen key. Just make sure you've got the one that's the exact right size. All you do is just loosen up one screw there on the top. There's another one just underneath on the bottom that's a little bit harder to get to, so I'll do that and then I'll put yours back on. Alright, so taking the old pinion off. Now, I'm just going to get the center drive shaft out. Good part about plastic is you can kind of flex it enough. There we go. Now the center drive shaft's out. It's only going to be a rear wheel drive. So, we'll get this new bigger pinion on there. Then I'll put yours back on when I've meshed it up and we'll see if it turns on. Okay, let's put the new pinion gear onto the motor. Now I'm just going to rewire up the motor. Then we're going to chuck a battery in it. And we're going to see how it goes. You don't really have to unplug the motor, as long as you don't have a battery in there type deal, but I don't know, I'll just unplug it anyway. So I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to work on. So chuck a battery in this. Then we'll give it a rev and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we hooked up the battery, turn on the controller, turn on the ESC and hope that it doesn't try to go anywhere. That sounds mean now.
Yeah, it does.
Dude, hold it underneath while I accelerate and just feel the amount of like wind coming off of it.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, well, let's put the tray back on, put the body back on, we'll take it out and we'll see if we can make anything happen with these wheels here, because if they smoke up, then perfect, but if they just start throwing rubber without smoke, then I'm going to put something way stronger in this, because I'm not going to lie, this is actually my favourite car of all of them to work on and modify, just because I personally feel like street cars just have the most potential when it comes to making them just stupid fast. Or just dumb in general. I mean, the whole idea of this is to make it into a bogan car, so...
Bogan Utes do burnouts.
Bogan burnouts, yeah! SA Live! 3, 2, 1... Holy shit! This thing flies now. And go.
Or collision.